Welcome, everybody, to this live playoff watch edition of Brown and Orange Weekly. I am your co host, Clarence Wilson, and with me, as always, is my main man, James Elfrich. James, we're shaking. It hasn't been pleasant to watch, but it's pleasant to watch what we know is coming.
Yeah, it wasn't today. Not that we had a high expectation with how many backups were playing today, but we did have the hopes of reaching those 12 wins on the season to tie the 87 team for most wins for the franchise in the season. Unfortunately, we're going to fall short. As we've been watching recently, which I'm sure most Brown fans hopefully still supporting this team. A couple of David Bell touchdowns here at the end has at least made it 31-14. But unfortunately, not been. Yes, I know David Bell and touchdowns.
Yeah, David Bell scoring 2 touchdowns today automatically nets Kevin Stefanski Coach of the Year. I don't care what nobody has to say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely give him that. Yeah, I hope he wins it. I know Dan Campbell's going to get some criticism there in Detroit because of Laporta getting hurt today. Hopefully he's okay with the Lions, but yeah, Stefanski and the team made a good decision to rest most of our key players. I was surprised to see Jerome Ford out there right here near the end of the game, but when you only have so many guys and you have to have active guys on the roster, there are going to be a few players that had to play today. I know Shelby Harris leaving the game looking like he was hurt, but seems like on social media, somebody there at the game was able to get a quick video of him up close, and looks like he'll be good for next week. So hopefully we go unscathed. Too many key players getting injured today. So
I saw Hunt was on the field as well earlier today, so
yeah,
I think they got everybody just a few reps here and there, and yeah, just get out of here unscathed. And this is a funny part about this is that what we're watching today is something that honestly, there's been many a Sunday we've woken up since '99, and there's been games like this.
oh my gosh, yes. This game was such a reminder of so many games. You're right. Even November games sometimes.
Yep.
Right around Thanksgiving when we're just, we have a horrible record. And yeah, a lot of flashbacks today of watching bad football. But I'll tell you what, I got Clarence. I don't know if you're watching NFL Game Day. Trevor Lawrence just missed Ridley on a wide open, huge, deep pass flag pattern in the left corner of the field. Tennessee's up 28-20 over Jacksonville. There's a minute 50 left. Man, Jacksonville. That would have been a touchdown for sure if he would have been able to connect, but he overthrew Ridley on that pass. So yeah, minute 50 left, and I'm watching that game on one TV. I'm watching the finish of the Browns on the other, but we're all keyed in on this Jacksonville game so we can figure out whether we're going to be playing in Jacksonville or Houston next week in the wild card round.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have a preference. Honestly, I'm going to be happy that they're in, and I think we can beat either team no matter who it is.
Yeah, I made a comment on X today to Roger, and I told him, I said, honestly, we shouldn't be concerned with who we're playing because point being is if we're going to go to the Super Bowl, we know that there's going to be tougher games ahead being in the divisional round and the AFC Championship that what sits there for us in the wild card. So, yeah, I'm all about matchups too. I do understand that. Everybody has that NBA kind of mentality and within the playoffs of who you're playing. But honestly, for us to get through and actually get to the Super Bowl, whether it's Houston or Jacksonville, I know Jacksonville would probably feel like a more home field advantage with as many Cleveland fans are in that area that are going to be willing to make the trip, and how people say Jacksonville fans are not as obviously dedicated as Browns fans are. So I think ticket availability might be there. So we wanted to welcome in a guest, Bill. Thanks for stopping in with us today. I know Bill does some writing for NEOSI. So Bill and I started communicating then earlier in the high school football season.
Yep.
Through chats. And Bill's a longtime Browns fan. I noticed you don't have your Biner jersey on today.
I do not know. I decided to kind of shelve everything just to save for next week and for the next couple of weeks. That's all.
And Bill, I want to introduce you to Clarence Wilson, our other co-host, Brown and North.
Clarence, pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
So
yeah, we're talking about we're kind of getting into how today was reminiscent of so many previous Sundays over the last since '99. How we wake up and watch this normally, but today it's not as painful because we know we're locked into the playoffs.
When was the last time that our last game of the year we didn't have to do anything? I mean, I can't even. If I go back to '86 and '87 and '88, I can't even think of a time other than playing for either, you're automatically in, you're either getting for the AFC Central title or I don't know. I don't remember the last time, honestly.
I was thinking the same thing earlier. Like, when was the last time that the Browns that they just got to rest all their players? The only time I could think of is maybe back it's AFC Central days, and I know that I feel like it was the season the Browns had a tie, and they played Houston in the last game of the season, and it didn't matter because they were going to end up playing Houston in the first round of the playoffs. I think maybe that then. I have to look that up. I remember the back-to-back Houston games, the old Oilers.
That's right.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was the Don Strock game.
You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did Jacksonville finally lose? Are the Steelers in then?
Last check, it was at a minute 50 NFL Game Day on NFL Network.
I think it's a final. I think Jacksonville lost. I think now the Steelers
they were bouncing around a little bit there at the end.
Wow. Mason Rudolph saving the Steelers season. Good God.
I've got a good buddy who's a Steeler fan, and he's just he's baffled by a lot of their fans have been wanting to fire, Tomlin and everything else. It's like, come on, man. Like, consistency that's their thing. They've had 3 coaches in my lifetime. Browns have had 3 coaches in a damn season before. So, I don't understand it. I do not like the Steelers, but I respect what they do every single season. No matter who they have, they're always in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. It really is. It's not just a philosophy. It's a way of life there. Those Yinzers should be, they should be blessed. And yet here they are complaining. It's just, it's mind boggling. I mean, we get to complain because we suck for so long. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. And we hope that the culture that we establish this season is sustainable the same way it is in Pittsburgh. I'm with you on that I'm both you guys on that because I do respect what Pittsburgh does as a franchise through ownership, through lack of turnover, through dedication, through toughness, and not overpaying guys. They've let how many guys go through over the years that go become high, price free agents for other teams that maybe don't pan out as well. And then they just plug and play somebody else that's disciplined and tough that continues to keep that culture in place. And that's what we hope that we finally, I was thinking back to what I said at the beginning of the season where I didn't necessarily give a win-loss record, but I just felt that this season was going to be special at the end. Now today's game, exclude that.
Understandable.
But it's been an absolute special season that none of us could actually think would happen based on how many players that we've lost. I think it's 11 starters right now.
Yeah.
And, and look, Pittsburgh's had a tough season. When we beat them 13-10 on the second matchup with them, Matt Canada fired, which they were screaming about all season. First coach fired during the season since 1941 for Pittsburgh, which is incredible stat.
Incredible. I was in the stadium for the Browns game for the Monday night game against the against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. And their fans, I'd never heard that before. Their fans were chanting in the stands, "Fire Matt Canada." Somehow they got the cadence right. and I was like, this is absolutely just crazy. Crazy. That's how bad they hated that guy there.
I don't know. They always seem to find they always seem to find offensive linemen and receivers. I mean, it's just it's just been unbelievable to see what these guys can, how they seem to find this guy and then this guy and then, oh, we lose him, no big deal. Let's go get it just, it makes you appreciate when you have a good front office, right? And hopefully we have things in place right now that we can continue with. I think this was a good start. This season was a good year. I think everyone had their necks on the line. I mean, I still go back to say I think they had to make this move to Flacco because I think the two of them knew, Stefanski and Barry knew that this was, we had to win this year. There was a no-brainer. We had to make the playoffs. I think if this Cleveland team didn't make the playoffs this year, I think we would be looking at a change.
And think about the success we had. We had 11 wins. How many wins did Pittsburgh have? One less.
10, I know.
For all the things they've went through too, or what they, with the quarterback play, they still have, they can rush the passer and they can typically run the ball. I know with Big Ben there, they still did focus in the past of still running the football, even though Ben liked to air it out. But these guys, Pickett, Trubisky, and then going to Rudolph, that was definitely a smart move on their part. I feel bad for Mitch being a local guy. Want to see that young man be able to have some success at the NFL level, but unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to. But the Flacco move was a need. I know Bill Clarence and I went around about that when Flacco's name started coming about, and I just wanted that vet that had won a Super Bowl that could command a locker room. And I know Clarence was concerned with him being a statue, and we talked about that too. And it's sure that's what he was pretty much in Baltimore. But man, we saw some fleet of foot last week versus the Jets.
The man,
pocket a little bit.
He's definitely taking a couple sips from the fountain of youth, no doubt. This year, he's looked a little bit more spry. Getting around in that pocket because that was my number one concern. Our quarterback room was full of mobile guys who, if the play breaks down, maybe they can make a guy miss a tackle here and there and be able to make a play to maybe just an outlet pass or something like that, just for positive yardage. My concern was with Flacco, him standing back there. I was like, I'm not sure, especially with the way our line was breaking down as well.
True.
But I mean, I got nothing to say. I don't know how the hell we keep winning games with him throwing the ball 45 times and us having next to no run game, but it keeps happening, and I'm enjoying this ride.
It's fun, I guess I've said this on a couple other podcasts before. I think the only way that we can put the curse to bed is to have something wild and crazy happen, right? Like, why not have the curse happen with the Cavaliers to come back from 3-1 down, right? I mean, to me, still, you have to bury a curse in some sort of phenomenal way in order to be able to say it's buried, right? And so maybe this is the Browns' way of just, this is what's going to, even if they don't make the Super Bowl, even if they make the AFC Championship game or whatever works, but maybe it's a run like this is what this club needed, and just like, man, can we finally get rid of the ghosts? Can we finally get rid of the past? I mean, I went to college during the 80s. So for me, that whole 86, 87, 88, 89 run there, that was amazing. Heartbreaking too, don't get me wrong, but still amazing. But man, from what we had from 99, good Lord, except for run William run, this has been a fun ride. Exactly.
Yeah, and I was at that run William run game too, and he ran towards our end zone, the opposite end of the dog pound. And that's still probably to this day the best home game I had attended. And I had been to so many bad ones. so many cold walks, long walks back to the car after just total miserable loss after miserable loss.
Oh,
And,
I got to get.
that game was special.
imagine.
You finally felt like you were back at that point. Because we went through the '80s teams, and that's what I'm really hoping. We talk about enjoying this ride, and some of the things that Clarence and I touched on a little bit in the last couple of weeks is the younger generations that's been sticking with this team because their parents tell them, "Hey, Brownstown's great. Just trust me. Let's go to the games. Let's still enjoy it. Let's go tailgate, go down to the Muni, go to the local bars, get something to eat before the game." So it's not just the football game; it's the community of Browns fans that surround the stadium. And now all the losing that they've experienced, and then as parents of bringing their kids down in that area, you can actually and take winning now and pile that on top of all the traditions now that you've got to experience in downtown Cleveland. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like a Brownstown downtown. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Trust me. I was at Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 2016. I went to the championship parade. I was at the banner ceremony night, which was the same night as Game 1 of the World Series right across the way there. So I've been through some exciting times down there. And I have to go back and just thank my dad in 1987 of taking me to that Browns-Jets playoff game.
Wow.
And because it changed my life. It was fantastic. So I'm hoping that all the young kids that are out there are really enjoying this time with their parents. I have 3 daughters. It's a little more of a struggle to get them involved with the team. They're more marching band girls. So it's a little more of a challenge, but they still know how much Dad loves the Browns and loves Cleveland. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to attend last Thursday's game with the seldom seen paper ticket. That is a paper ticket.
Beautiful.
I'll show for all the. You don't see these very often. My buddy gave it to me. My buddy said he texted me and was like, "You looking for tickets for the game?" I said, "Yeah." He called me and said, "I'm about to drop off these tickets in a few minutes." And as soon as he said that and hung up the phone, I was like, "Man, drop off tickets? We don't do that anymore."
Right.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Phone that's got tickets on
it. Right? But yeah, he dropped them off and he was like, "All right, I'll meet you down there." I was like, I was like, "You gave me these tickets. We're going to go together because when yours doesn't work, I'm going to be standing right next to you. That's the way this is going to work out." But sure enough, they worked, got in, and that atmosphere was that was crazy. That was one of those, like, because I owned a bar during the Cavs 2016 run. Game 7 was absolutely nuts. Never seen nothing like it. That atmosphere in that stadium, pretty much the entire second half was just kind of a big party. Everybody was having a good time. Our seats were close to God. I think we were 7 rows in the back. It's been a while since I sat that far up, but it was just a big party in there. A very similar atmosphere, and we all know if the Browns do get a shot at going to a Super Bowl or something like that, because I'm not putting a cap on this team anymore. Done. I'm done. Yeah, I won't be surprised if they blow a team out. I won't be surprised if they lose. But if the Browns can make that run, that's going to be something special.
We're going to have to see what's going to go on with Pierre Strong now with his back and Cedric Tillman, who might be under the concussion protocol. So that's going to be interesting to see with that. The fact they had to cart Strong off the field. I mean, are we going to have Perosh take care of all returns now?
Well, I'm a big Pierre Strong guy. I didn't see it. I didn't see him. Full disclosure, I did step away and do a couple other things during this game because it didn't matter. So I didn't see him get carted off.
One of the Bengals. It looks like one of the Bengals defensive line. It was a meaningless run on that on the second touchdown, right? So it was kind of I can't remember if it was 1st and first and 10 or second and something, and he's fighting for an extra yard and stuff, makes a cut, and then it looks like a Bengals lineman kind of, as he's falling, kind of lands on his back. And he was struggling getting off the field, and then of course Tillman. I didn't see the play for Tillman, but I think he might be having a concussion. They had to take him to the tent, and then they walked him back to the locker room. So if they're okay, because we might have a Saturday game, right? I mean, have they made any connections as to who's going to be playing what game yet?
That's what I keep watching. I'm looking to see if they're going to post anything.
I'm on NFL game day right now.
I have not seen anything yet.
Nothing? Okay.
I know the word is Saturday game, whether it's the first or second one. Looks like the 4:35 game is going to be on NBC, and the 8 o'clock game. What I saw was on Peacock.
Yeah.
It's the logos I saw. So,
yeah, I saw the same thing.
I would expect that, whether it which time, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think, what do you think? I mean, it's indoors, so it's not like it's a night game or anything like that at Houston. So to me, I don't care. I think maybe just getting it going and wanting to play. And for us, we're going to be on pins and needles all week.
Yeah.
Because that's Browns fever. That's Flacco fever right now, is thinking about it throughout your work week. And just being excited, man, that takes me back a long time. It's been a while since I felt that way.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be weird just because we have one less day to prepare. So it's a Saturday game, and then we're playing here on Sunday, so it'll be one less game. So just kind of wait to see what the extent of all the injuries are and everything else. But this is going to be put up or shut up time now. So I don't care whoever is. Whoever we're going to have out there at any time, this is, we got to get through this game, get to the next game, and just keep going from there. Because it would be interesting. Can you imagine if the Bills win and then Pittsburgh's got to go to Buffalo, which would be kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. And then what would be? Let's see, who would be trying to figure out who would be the game for the Ravens then. Would it be us, or would it be if Pittsburgh somehow beats Buffalo?
Isn't it the lowest seed?
Yeah, it's the lowest seed. So it would be, if Pittsburgh was somehow to beat Buffalo, it would be them.
Wow. Tell you, all 4 AFC teams, I wrote about that at the beginning of the year, that I thought all 4 AFC North teams were going to make it in the playoffs. I thought all 4 of them would.
Damn near close.
Close. That was one of the ones that I mean, still, everyone's got a better than 500 record. That's NFC East did that last year, right? Or did one team go?
I thought they had somebody under.
Did one go 8-8-1? I can't remember, because the NFC East had 3 teams in last year too, right? Philadelphia, Dallas, and
wouldn't have been the Giants. Well, was it Daniel Jones and the Giants?
I can't remember.
The Commanders weren't.
I'm drawing a total blank right now.
I don't know why I was thinking the Giants maybe snuck in.
Gosh, Cowboys.
Daniel Jones got that big contract, I think, this past offseason.
Maybe.
It might have been from that.
Could have been. I wish I could.
Yeah, the Giants got in.
Giants got in.
They got smashed, and they got smashed by Philly.
Oh, okay.
If I'm looking at the right thing, yeah. But you bring up a good point about, you thinking that all 4 teams going to be 500, because I've been saying this for, a while, thinking, even back to the Baker days when we all thought Baker might be that guy, that, we were in a kind of like an AFC Central type, deal where, remember the good old days of Warren Moon, Bubby Brister, Boomer, Bernie, all 4 of those quarterbacks are pretty damn solid. And kind of in a similar situation now, where all these outside the Steelers, but again, they just keep finding ways to win. It doesn't matter. But all the teams in this division have good quarterback play, and it's showing.
and good solid defense, and that's we're gonna have to pin everything on defense over the next couple of years. I mean, I know we're gonna need to pay players, and next year's contract situation is going to be kind of brutal.
Yeah.
We live for right now. We just worry about the next game. We don't worry about next year. We don't worry about who the backup quarterback's going to be or anything else. You just worry about the fact that next week we're going down to Houston to play the Texans again, and this time they'll have CJ. So,
and I know you mentioned about the short week, but with us playing last Thursday, my assumption is they were probably preparing for
both.
Multiple teams.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And then having the guys rest today probably is going to be helpful. So, and just playing them not that long ago, it's not like we played them in week 3 either.
Yeah.
So there's a good feel between both teams. My thing is for next week is I think the key to a Super Bowl run is can we not turn the ball over? And that's what CJ did a great job of yesterday for a rookie playing in a game that is for all the marbles for him and the Texans. No turnovers for him. And that was fantastic for him. And then us being there are a lot of Buckeye fans. I know, Bill, you're a Michigan fan. So good. I'll throw that good luck to you on Monday. I know. Hey, I just want to see a good game. I think
it will be. It's a Big Ten championship game. It's a Big Ten natty.
Yeah. Because of Washington being
that's crazy. That's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
It does.
I was reading a story about I can't remember where it was. It might have been USA Today this morning, and they were talking about how the SEC chairman has agreed to go to the national championship. I guess there was talk that he wasn't going to show up, that he wasn't going to go, and I'm like, I kind of thought that all the conference, leaders would automatically get tickets from the NCAA and from ESPN and the college football playoff thing. I thought all of them would get there anyhow.
Yeah.
I was surprised to read, maybe it was a joke or something like that, but I was really surprised to read about that he decided that he was going to go. I'm like, I kind of would think everyone gets free tickets, right? Whether you're MAC, whether you're, whatever conference you're in, you're the leader of that conference, you get tickets, X number of tickets or whatever. But I was surprised to see that because, this is, you can do a whole, and you probably have already done a whole nother show on NAL and portal and ESPN running college football. But I just think it's crazy right now because I do think these are the two best teams in the country, and this is going to be a national championship for the two best teams.
And they're both undefeated, so it should be a good game. Now, the best thing that can happen for Ohio State is, probably Washington winning, right? But there are some Buckeye fans that will say, "Okay, I'm going to pull for the Big Ten," because how funny was it where Buckeye fans would say, "Oh, Michigan fans, you should be rooting for us and rooting for the Big Ten."
Mm-hmm.
We know how that goes. That's not realistic. So I don't see too many Ohio State fans doing that. But the real recruiter for Ohio State is CJ Stroud. Now he plays next week.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably been their best recruiter all season on how his play is playing at Ryan Day in Ohio State and having success at the next level as a rookie. That's good for quarterback play, quarterbacks to see that. And but then again, Browns fans, it's all about us. It's not about Ohio State next week. It's not about Michigan.
We live in Cleveland. We don't live in Columbus. Sorry, put out my sandwich.
Getting back to that, I've been worried about Dustin Hopkins, right? And if he's even going to be available next week. And after the first touchdown, did you see how quickly Driscoll went up and that they were going to go for 2? And I'm screaming, no, you need to let your kicker get some more experience, Kevin. Please don't go for 2. Please don't go for 2. You can't do that. This kid may be kicking for us next week, and we need to get him as much.
Live game reps. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, without a doubt.
Totally agree.
I'm worried. I don't think he's going to be back. I really don't. I don't know how severe this left hamstring tear was. I know I've torn both of my hamstrings before, and good God, I was out for a couple months. I mean, and I had a bruise that went from the bottom of my butt to all the way to my heel because I tore my hamstring like Eric Davis did with the Reds. I live here in Dayton, and so I was I was a restaurant manager, and we had a softball game between our two stores. We're like, oh, let's have some fun, right? So I tear my hamstring running from second to third, and so I go to we had a hospital here, St. Elizabeth Medical Center. They had a really good at the time sports training program. And so I went over there and the doctors looked at it, and and like 4 or 5 doctors came by and started taking pictures of it. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, you tore yours just as bad as Eric Davis did. Here, this is Eric's. Yours. Oh, great. You're comparing me to Eric Davis. Okay. But I mean, I don't know what the extent of, what his tear was. If his tear was really bad, especially in that plant leg, I don't think he's going to be available for the playoffs at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I know hamstring injuries are tough.
Kevin doesn't say much at his press conferences. Well, he's taken from the Bill Belichick school.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the one time he said anything, he got his ass in trouble earlier in the season. So talking about the whole Watson thing. Because I was shocked when he said that. And I was like, is he talking?
He was honest. Holy cow.
Yep.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. But this is fun. This is a fun problem to have now.
Yeah.
I thought our linebacking crew was going to be our weakest link this year, and I have been surprised at how well they played. How Schwartz has, I think, been able to figure out, okay, we can get Miles to do this. I got these 2 interior linemen. I can do this with my linebackers. Miles does dictate everything that he does. He should be Defensive Player of the Year. If he's not, then the award is a joke. You want to play, give him the play jumping over the center and blocking the field goal. If that's what you want for a play for Defensive Player of the Year, in my book, just give it to him there. But I mean, I think Schwartz realized what he had with this guy and said, this is what we can do. And I thought, who was it? James Lofton, I think, on the broadcast today. I don't know if it was James. I could be wrong. Could be the other guy too. But I thought James Lofton said, I would put up the 4 defensive backs for the Browns as the best DBs in all of football. And I was like, oh, that's the first I heard of that. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? From our standpoint of our safety play has been solid. Not great, solid. I like Hickman back there now. I'm like, good for that Ohio State kid. But really, we have 3 guys that can cover as long as they stay healthy, And I didn't know Newsome was hurt.
Yeah.
I had no idea that he was hurt.
So you mentioned about the linebackers and our DBs, I really think, Bill, that what Clarence and I talked about throughout the season is the defensive line has allowed the backers to fly around and make plays, has allowed the guys the defensive backs to play tighter, knowing that they don't have to guard the receivers as long and run with them because the ball is going to be getting out of that quarterback's hands because of the pass rush that we create. So I think that defensive line is what's made everything fall into place this year. I know we lost Phillips early in the season. That might even be before the season, I think. That poor guy.
I think before.
He can't stay healthy, unfortunately. He's supposed to be one of the fastest backers we have. And but yeah, the guys have really stepped up and made plays. Anthony Walker now out again for the rest of the season. That's a little concerning. High leadership guy. Is that somebody that we look in the offseason where if they're looking to save money in certain areas, is that a guy that they bring back? I guess it depends on if Schwartz is back too. So the offseason's going to it's going to be a lot of conversations on both sides of the ball and on the coaching staff and what we're going to do. So, but like we talked about, we really need to enjoy this ride right now because there'll be plenty to talk about in the off season.
Hell yeah. And you know what's going to happen? There's going to be some second or third string person that's going to make a play for either team next week. That's going to help dictate what happens, right? I think, you'll see your stars will have good games and something, but there's going to be a play in which you have and that second stringer that just, hey, the game film. You go back and look at the 6 Super Bowl victories for the Patriots, and you'll always find some second or third string guy making a phenomenal play at some point. And it goes back just saying, hey, it's all the preparation, the game film studying that we do, and the quizzing that Belichick gives us, everything else. I have a feeling that's going to be exactly the same. That's why I think today's game was important. I think today's game was important for those second and third stringers, because now I think, Schwartz and the rest of the defensive staff can say, who do we trust? Who do we trust if we need it in a tough spot? And I thought there were a bunch of guys the second half. I thought the defense played really well the second half. The second and third string really, really well. Alex Wright still looks great. Great kid. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Bring on whoever. I don't care if it was Jacksonville. I don't care if it was Houston. I don't care if it's CJ. Everybody, all these Buckeye fans like, oh, I don't want to play CJ Stroud. Good God, you got to play whoever's in front of you.
I don't give a damn about. I'm sorry. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I don't give a damn about Ohio State. So, like, this is not really. This is professional football.
Yeah.
So you know what? Our teams are going to be made up of guys from all over, from all kinds of universities. I'm rooting for the name on the front, not the schools that they went to or any of that BS.
I agree.
So CJ Stroud, guess what? Next week he's in trouble.
He's a Texan.
Yeah. He's in trouble. I hope Miles gets in there and hits his ass several times. So let's go. Like, let's go.
If you asked any head coach that's won a Super Bowl, go, hey, first round matchup, do you get a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach? They're going to sign up for that.
Yeah.
As well as CJ is playing, they're still rookies, and I know we have a lot of guys that'll probably be their first playoff game. We do have guys with some playoff experience, but I really think that that's where Flacco is really going to be leaned on for being tied with Tom Brady with the most road wins ever in the playoff with 7. And Joe has never lost a first round playoff game on the road. So we're in the best hands we possibly can. The question is, can we put the ball in our hands the entire game?
And
keep it away from them.
Houston's hands.
Yeah, because they're going to make some adjustments, so we'll have to counter. I'm sure it's nothing Joe hasn't seen before, though.
No, I think we'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it. I think, if I had to pick someone on the offensive line who I thought who has had an outstanding year, it's been Ethan Posick. I just think that the job that he has done since we picked him up, was it 2 years ago? I think, right? I think it was 2 years ago.
Think so.
And then we had to put him in the lineup last year. I just think the job he has done has been phenomenal. And look at the time, one game that he was out, the one game he was out, and the other game that he got hurt in the middle of it and came out, we struggled. Mm-hmm. I just think he has had one of those Pro Bowl type years that, I always love having great centers, right? We grew up with, Mike Babb at center, right? Like, oh man, you had no problems. Mike Babb had Bernie's back all the time, right? And then Steve Everett too. I mean, God, I loved him at center. Another Michigan guy, but a guy that I think for Browns fans, when the Browns left and he went to the Ravens and he wore the Cleveland Browns.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
To me, he will always be, the epitome of what I think an offensive lineman and defensive lineman should be for this club, right? And so I think Posick has done just a phenomenal job this year, and I honestly I think Bitonio had, I would say, an average to above average year. I don't think he was great this year. I really don't. You look at some of the things that went wrong, and some of them went wrong on his guy. But we have to have a talk about Jed. He's not going to make. I can't see how you sign him, because I think oh God, what's his name?
Juwan Thanos.
Well, Juwan, great, but I mean, on the left side, if they move Juwan over to the left side, which could be the case, but I'm talking, who's the guy that filled in when he went down? He's played so well for him. This is my 58 years of age affecting me.
Not Hubbard.
Oh my God.
Not James Hudson, because he's
No.
been on the right side.
Oh, that's it.
Shows you how much we love our offense.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
do.
I'm sitting
We
here
talk
like,
up Antonio. We've talked up Wyatt Teller. The tackle position's been filled in weekly, but I know it's been tough this year with our backups, but they've definitely been able to maintain. The run game hasn't looked as great, but I think Joe getting rid of the football quicker has made our offensive line that we've been working with over the last month or so look that much better as well.
oh, Jerron Christian. That's it. That's what.
Yeah,
Jerron Christian.
Okay.
Well, to that point, James. You know what I've noticed a lot more in this offense with Flacco, even more than what we saw when it was Watson and everyone else, is that they're doing that little, 5 yard and Njoku just turn around, catch the ball, which is almost serving as a de facto run game. It's a quick, super quick pass, and it's kind of taking a little bit of the pressure off the run game because I want to see what happens when we're in the playoffs and we're throwing the ball twice as much as we're running it. I've said that's not sustainable, but we keep doing it. So again, I'm not putting a cap on this team, but at some point, I'd like to think we might need a running game because it doesn't seem that teams that have zero run game really progress that deep into the playoffs unless you have a Mahomes or someone like that. Yeah, Josh Allen hasn't had that, but he's won some games, but he hasn't made it to the Super Bowl, and they haven't had much of a run game. So,
right, and if I can use the word balance, the balance that we haven't had from the run game and the pass game, the balance that's came into play has been Joe getting all these different receivers involved too.
Mm-hmm. The quick pass.
We've talked about Jordan Akins getting his one catch a game.
One a game.
At least 2 today. Where he's the third tight end, but he's in there and he gets a catch, and he gets his yards. Don't fumble the ball, and so a guy's contributing. Bell scored.
We text every game.
Today.
We text every game. There's one.
Yeah. And go back to Pierre Strong too, and the depth, and him being the third back. Where we could really be hurting not having him is special teams.
Oh, I know.
That could be a key. So I'm curious to see who fills in for that spot too.
You may have to have Brioche do all of it, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. But I mean, the at least from the standpoint of kickoffs, no one's really. I mean, I take that back. Our kicks here the past 2 weeks haven't made it into the end zone. They've been run back. So, in the playoffs, I have a feeling that we may not be running at least kickoffs back. But,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. That'll be something that Stefanski and Bubba and the rest of them are going to have to figure out. But we need. It has been those three. It's been a three-headed monster in running, and good for Ford. I'm happy for him. 27. I wish he'd stay with the Browns. I wish he would just be a part of that forever. But it is what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that we can.
I want more.
What's that, Clarence? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I just want more carries for Strong. Carries for Strong. I think Bill had to jump out.
But I'm not sure. I still think the key next week, obviously it's line of scrimmage, both sides, offense and defense, but the turnover thing is going to be something that I really think we got to fix that. And of course, what happened today, I know it was Driscoll and it was the fifth quarterback, throws an interception on his first pass. That really doesn't carry over into next week. But
no.
We need to get that bad karma of our turnovers down because we can see what we need to do for CJ Stroud, and we need to turn him over.
Yeah.
I was going to look back to see what game it was. He had one game at home where he looked like a rookie, and I'm trying to remember how many turnovers he had. But that's something that we're going to need for next week is we got to put pressure on CJ. We need to turn him over. Hopefully the defense can score off one of those turnovers, and hopefully Joe can take care of the ball and decrease those interceptions. And I think if those things can happen, like you talked about, why put a cap on this team? Anything can happen. We can beat
Anything.
anybody, and this road can continue on. And I'm just excited to see how the rest of this story is going to play out because it should be a fun one.
Yeah, we could beat anybody, we could lose to anybody. Like that's just where the Browns are at right now. But lately, we've been on the winning end of more than we have the losing. And as we kind of talked about before, um, this is a team that like all the bad things that used to happen to them are now turning in our favor. We're getting the calls, we're getting the things that to go our way. So again, no cap on this team. They can beat anybody with pretty Joe Flacco throwing the ball downfield. It looks like, and the run game be damned. I guess that's the way we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm looking at the end of the season there, our schedule that winning against Jacksonville, who, let's see, Lawrence was coming off an ankle injury that week, right? I think Kirk was out, Christian Kirk. So there's some things that came into play for us that were beneficial to help us from the other team not being able to perform or not even be able to play up to their potential. The Bears game, I know that was a close game too. You would hope that wouldn't have been, but I think with the turnovers, that was the big problem. At Houston, we didn't play CJ. The Jets game, we blew them out. They were pretty much packing in their season. Our big wins, towards the end of the year. I know the Jets was a big win because what it meant to make the playoffs, but the at Baltimore, I go back to at Baltimore and then the Pittsburgh game at home. With DTR winning that game, those are our last two really big, solid wins against very
Yeah.
tough opponents. So we are going to have to play our best football against the rest of the season. There is no more.
Yeah.
There's no easiness in our schedule whatsoever. You got to
Nope.
focus on Houston.
Yep. Everybody now is in the playoffs. That means all the cupcakes, I shouldn't call them cupcakes, but all the games that, maybe teams are packing it in, all those games are done with now.
Yep.
So now every game is, if you win, it's the old, what is the NCAA tournament rule?
Survive in advance.
That's right. What it is. That's what it is. Survive in advance. That's what it is. So I like our chances. I like our chances against any team. But I'm not going to lie. I'm particularly happy that we're going against the Texans, as we kind of said earlier. It's a team we've already seen once this year, granted without CJ, but some of those principles and things that they do on tape that the Browns, I'm sure, have watched aren't going to change. So I do like having that advantage of seeing some team we haven't looked at all whatsoever.
Yeah, and I really think it's Browns fans. It's just where we have to get. Some of us need to get our confidence back, when you're looking at facing a CJ Stroud, because you got Mahomes potentially later on, Lamar Jackson, who drives us insane because he runs all over the place, and he's improved as a passer this year, probably the league MVP. So the challenges are going to be there. The question is, can we answer the bell the same way we've done all year? And how about this? I'm not big on the predictions, but the one thing I was hoping for, and I was putting out on Twitter a little bit today on X, was what happened. Just depends on how the schedule lines up, but we'll be the 5th seed, and then you have your 6th and 7th seed, and then the Steelers is one of those. What would happen, Clarence? Get to the AFC title game, and we get to host it against Pittsburgh. I think that's a possibility.
I'm trying to think how that would even. So that would mean that Pittsburgh would have to beat the 4 seed, or sorry, the 3 seed or 2 seed. Sorry, yeah, there's the 7th seed. So they'd have to beat the 2 seed, which is
the Dolphins.
Yeah, right now. And then if they beat them, then they would play Baltimore. I mean, it's a possibility.
We're looking far down the road, and we need to win in Houston first, but there's some potential to maybe host an AFC championship game against
City
the
will go crazy.
6 or 7 seed. Those
See, it
tickets
will
would be
crazy. Well,
no parking will probably be $200.
oh, easy. The tickets for Thursday's game online, we weren't going to go because I was going to give them 2 weeks before that, and they were only $90. And then the day of, those tickets, I saw them upwards of $275. And I was like, all right, I'm not paying that for that's
Regular
for
season.
regular season. Yeah, because that's as I texted you, I was like, that's what we paid to go see Game 3 of the 2007 NBA Finals, the first Finals game in Cleveland against the Spurs. That's what we paid to see that. There's no way I'm paying that for a regular season game just to see them clinch. But I was happy I was there. The atmosphere was phenomenal.
I paid Game 6 of the 2016 NBA Finals. I got one ticket, and I was up in the basically Loudville. I was a little bit off from behind the basket. I think it was with fees and all that. It was about $232. That's Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm not. I would never pay for, but Browns AFC Championship game hosted. Woo, I would have to. I'd have to set a limit, but
right.
see, I would get scared though because I'd be like, do I want to spend it here, or do I want to go ahead and let these guys make the Super Bowl, and then that's where I blow my money at.
Hey, Bill's back.
Be back.
I had to take care of dinner. My wife had to go to mass, and she's like, "Hey, this is what you need to do." I'm like, "Got it." And then my dogs are like, "Hey, are you gonna feed us too?" I'm like, "Oh, good God, all right, fine."
But yeah, we probably we were talking a little bit. I don't know if you heard us talking about a potential hosting the AFC Championship game against a fifth or a sixth or seventh seed.
We just have to hope that all the
that could be fun. Oh,
you would just have to have the every wild card team win. That's all.
Yeah,
that's right.
And if that's the case, then it belongs to us. But I tell you, the Chiefs and whoever loses. So if the Chiefs have to play Miami, that could be an interesting game to witness. I think Miami could. I don't think I want to see the Chiefs and the Bills again.
Mm-hmm.
Not until the Final Four here in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be an interesting game I'd like to see. So right, because Miami will still be in. Miami and Buffalo are just playing for the Eastern title. They're both in, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whoever wins gets the AFC East title.
Right.
Yeah, gets the home game.
So there's no way I want to see Kansas City and Buffalo again. Not until it's a little bit more meaningful. Not this, not the wild card game weekend. Not that.
Yeah, I'm just looking for somebody that can play physical and tough against Baltimore in that second round to have that potential to knock them out.
So here's a question that all week Browns fans were angry about Dalvin Cook. Oh, we didn't get Dalvin Cook, and now the Ravens got Dalvin Cook, right?
Yes.
Do you think not picking him up is a big deal now that we don't know Ford's status right now, or not Ford? We don't know Strong status right now. I was on the opinion like don't need him. I mean, the guy fumbles, heck of a player. He had some really good years under Stefanski. The only thing I could have seen from positive is that he would know a lot of the Stefanski plays and the terminology and all that other stuff, right? I could see. Right now, I just don't trust him holding on to the football. And we got enough issues with throwing interceptions and pick sixes. So, let's. So I don't know. What do you think about the Ravens and Cook?
I just didn't want him to go there. I just didn't want him to go there. That's it. Like I don't want to see any team that we might see in the playoff or in the playoffs get any stronger. Regardless, yeah, he has fumbling problems, but he could go there and run the ball down teams' gullets and end up leading or helping lead them to a Super Bowl along with LJ. But as far as him bringing him here, honestly, I I kind of wanted him here, but it wasn't a strong one. It's just one of those things of keeping him away from everybody else. And also, just shoring up our backfield a little bit. But again, if we'd have brought him here, I still wanted to see Strong get more carries, but now that he's out, of course we can look back and say, but either way, I just didn't want him to go to Baltimore. What about you, Jay?
I mean, I'm a Dalvin Cook fan. He's a Florida State Seminole, so I'm kind of biased, but I didn't see how he fit at the time. I heard all the conversation this week. I was trying to figure out how are you getting him carries over what we already have now. And based on how he performed with the Jets, there was nothing to justify giving him carries over what we already had with Ford coming off, a 2-touchdown game. I know they were passing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns, but still, I just didn't see how that fit. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, Ozzie Newsome and those guys, because I forget what running back they lost recently. But I was thinking that, there's chance he could be going there. Cook could be ring chasing. Wouldn't blame him for going there, and I don't blame him for going there. But if he is somebody that we would face, say, in the AFC Championship game, if he beats us, then we have bigger problems than just Dalvin Cook. We're just not controlling the line of scrimmage or stopping the run game. When that's Baltimore's strong suit. So regardless who they have in their backfield, we're going to have to play our best defense regardless of who's back there. So that's my
100%.
I figured if we were going to sign him, because I thought if anything, we needed to look at maybe getting an extra receiver. If anything, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, is there anybody else on somebody's practice squad that we can grab that's a receiver? That was more my concern going in, is like, if you want to sign Cook, would you sign him as a slot? I agree. You couldn't add him in because you're going to be taken away from all the other, from Hunt carries, Strong's carries. Why would you want to do that, right?
And we're throwing the
put him in as a slot receiver, maybe. I mean, an extra. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I'm gonna jump out. If y'all want
let's go ahead and let's wrap this up, and let's start focusing on the Texans. Hopefully, we go down to Houston next week. Take care of business. I hope everybody has a great work week. I know you're going to be trying to focus on work, but you're going to be thinking about playoff football because that's what we do around here. Eat, sleep, and breathe football. So, but yeah, I hope everybody has a great week out there, and just be ready for whatever time that whenever we're scheduled. I know as a fan base, we'll be ready to go, and we're just totally excited to be in this position. And I guess there's a lot of Baker bros out there. We should say congratulations to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers making the playoffs. And he has potential to be comeback player of the year this year. So congratulations to Baker and the Bucs. So that's it. That's all I got.
Exciting time this week.
And then, Bill, do you want to plug yourself and how anybody can follow you on X? And
you can follow me on X. I probably should have put that on here, but I didn't. I'm at PetroRock44, but I also write for NEOSI Sports Insiders, and have now for, I think this is my 2-year anniversary. I think I'm over 200 articles now. My 2-year anniversary there. I was looking at that the other day, going, "Holy cow! I've written over 200 articles here. How did I do that? How in the world did I do that?" But I tell you, man, it's been a fun hobby, and just a lifelong Cleveland fan. Born and raised in Cleveland Heights. Lived in Mayfield. My parents and all my relatives still live out in Menor or out in Bay Village, and down here in Dayton, I don't get a chance to see the games at all, but I try and do whatever I can to catch a Guardians game, a Cavs game, and of course the Browns here. So this is an exciting time, man. This is an exciting time. If the Cavaliers can get their stuff together, and who knows what we're going to have with the Guardians, but man, I'm going to enjoy these next couple weeks.
Absolutely.
Go February. Football in February, baby.
That would be, yes. Absolutely. Well, Bill, thanks for jumping in with us.
Yes, thanks, Bill.
Clarence, pleasure.
Pleasure.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.